So this year is packed with touring, and next year is going to be a lot of touring. But we talked about it. We talked about the next episode.
Hi guys, Jonathan Graham here. I'm here with Fredrik from Opeth. How are you doing today, buddy?
Just got here, had some dinner, and then talking to you.
Absolutely.
So it's all good, you know.
Well, look, we're on a very hallowed ground, even for guys like yourself who have played so many incredible shows over the years. Playing in Donington, it's got to be pretty special, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's something you read about as a kid when you read Kerrang about, you know, classic metal bands playing here, Aussie and, you know, Saxon and, you know.
Absolutely.
Or my old childhood heroes, and then you get to play here on your own. And
what was your first exposure to Donington Festival or Monsters of Rock or Download?
In Stockholm, where I'm from.
Yeah.
So first one I saw was '86, which had Def Leppard. First show they did after Rick Allen's arm got ripped off.
Wow.
So you remember there was a lot of talk about his new drum kit, the way they sold that thing, terrible thing.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, talk about brotherhood, you know, doing that. That's very cool. Anyhow, and then was Ozzy Osbourne, Ultimate Sin Tour, and Scorpions. I think it was Loud's first Sting tour. And a Finnish band called 09 opening up.
Yeah.
So that was one of my I think I was 12 years old, something like that. You know.
Those early shows, it's incredible how much they stick with you, doesn't it? Where you can almost feel that emotion of being in the crowd. Is that something that when you're up on stage now, you kind of chase that emotion, but from the opposite side of the stage?
Yeah, definitely. You know, you feel the vibe, and when standing on the stage, I think we always play the same stage here at Download.
Yeah,
and, I know that was in the first state. Biff Byford told me that's where we used to play. You know, so that's you can't avoid thinking about that. That's awesome.
You guys, your first time here. We're going back now. We're almost 20 years, eh?
Yeah, I remember we played before Mötley Crüe once, and that was a bit surreal because we had our dressing room and they had their one next door. I'm like, what the hell? That's Mick Mars walking around there.
I know Last Will and Testament literally just dropped, but you guys already potentially working on anything else new?
No, not yet, because we're doing a lot of touring. We've been busy this year so far and doing about 14 festivals now. And before this, we were in South America with the Scorpions, Judas Priest, and Europe, and Queen's Rock and Sabotage, which was amazing.
Absolutely.
And then we did. So this year is packed with touring, and next year is going to be a lot of touring. But we talked about it. We talked about the next episode. Last night we had a few pints and we talked about it.
Okay, so maybe a couple of years, maybe potentially.
It won't be as long gap as last time because that was. But then you had the pandemic as well.
Of course, I did.
Knock another 2 years of it, you know.
What's your rig set up for today?
Today I'm using Synergy, so I have the Synergy Syn 2.
Yep.
And for clean and crunch tone, I have the Fryette Deliverance, like the Opeth track.
Yep.
And then for high gain, rhythm and lead, I use the SLO 2.
Yeah. And
then I have more of an analog pedal board with the switching system.
Yes.
To control everything. And the power amps are there. The Synergy stereo 100 watt with 4 6L6 tubes.
These Synergy things are incredible. When did you get turned on to them?
It's been quite a while now, since before the pandemic. We just updated our rig, so we have like a flying rig setup.
Yeah. And
then our main rig, so we both have double of everything in the rack. Me and Mikael, we use the same setup. So it's been very reliable.
Have you found, you know, because obviously there's a lot of people, for convenience, you know, they're switching to your Kempers and the Axe effects and all that sort of stuff. The decision to go Synergy over something like that, any particular reason for that? Did you try out some things and it just weren't working for you?
No, we had we used to have our Marshalls, you know, which was fantastic, the JBMs in the rack, and then we started doing a lot of fly gigs going to Australia, and we were depending on certain rig setups, especially because we have the piezo, so you need to press something that makes the piezo turn off or turn on, and the controlling also the distorted tones. So we used a digital solution, and we put it in the return of a rental cab and an amp.
Yeah.
But one gig we played in Bristol, I remember blue smoke started coming out from that amp, and like 20 minutes of the gig was destroyed.
Oh my God.
Then the Synergy idea came up, and then it's very consistent, because the only thing that's going to change in the flying rigs is the actual cabinet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course they sound different, but if you ask for a V30, it's going to sound pretty much the same.
Yeah, I guess the hardest part is going to be deciding all the different cartridges that you're going to go for, because they've got so many options, haven't they? But,
yeah. I tried a bunch of them, and right now I really like the SLO too.
The SLO, yeah.
I think the 5150 is great too.
Yeah.
And also the Kellier by 14.
Awesome. Heavy tones for sure. Now, you've been a PRS guy for years and years. What was your first sort of interaction with those guys? What made you switch over to PRS?
It was thanks to Michael, really. When I joined Opeth in 2007, he introduced them to me and they wanted to endorse me, and ever since I've been playing PRS guitars. They're super nice, and they've been extremely supportive, and the guitar, they can really stand the hard touring when it comes to staying in tune and,
of course, and
reliability.
Yeah.
And also the way it resonates in the tone, it sounds great,
you're one of these players, every note really means something. You get incredible touch with the instrument, and you kind of feel with these high-end PRSs, there's so many overtones and all that, they just feel like they're just built into the instrument.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to go in between the 245 scale and the longer scale, which is kind of, after a while, I mean, you have to recalibrate the way you bend notes to be in correct pitch, and it feels a bit different, but I managed to kind of have some autopilot that goes in between that.
Absolutely,
which can be a trick in the beginning, but no, they've just been fantastic, man. What can I say?
Well, look, Fredrik, absolute pleasure to chat with you. Have a great show tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.